Hi Martha. Guess what we did in science today?
Science? Sounds boring. In my science class we just did a report. Boring.
That's terrible. Well, in my science class we are doing this thing called Who Done It, a worm murder mystery. Not like that. It's an experiment we did with Galleria and nematodes.
What did you do in this Dunnit a worm murder mystery?
Well, the first step is putting the Galleria in 3 different Petri dishes. Each Petri dish had a different type of solution.
What was in these solutions?
Well, I don't really know. Mrs. Lamoureux wouldn't tell us.
Interesting, Brooklyn. What did you do next?
Well, we waited a couple days until we had science again. That's when we checked them.
What happened when you checked them? Were they like foaming at the mouth?
Ha ha ha. No, silly. One Petri dish, or as we called it, A.
I. Why I?
Don't ask me. I don't make these decisions. Jeez. Anyways, in Petri dish A, while the Galleria were dead, they were reddish brown.
Reddish brown? Why sold the colors of their dead carcass matter?
Because, if the carcass is reddish brown, it means there is a more likely chance there are nematodes.
Oh.
Yeah. Next we looked at Petri dish B and Petri dish B, they were all alive.
That's it. How could that be possible?
Trippy, right?
Right.
So next, we looked at Petri dish C, they were also dead.
Were they reddish brown?
No, Martha. They were a creamy tan color.
What would that mean?
It also means nematodes were present. Why are they different colors? Well, it's 2 totally different nematodes. Reddish brown means it was infected by xtranormal. If the carcass is creamy tan, then that means it was infected by S.
Wow, Brooklyn, that's really cool. I wish I was in your science class.
Hee hee.
Well, what did you do after that? Did it just end there?
Of course not. This worm murder mystery continued by us then dissecting the Galleria.
That's disgusting, Brooklyn.
Not really. We dissected only A and C, then we looked at them both in a microscope.
And?
And we discovered that both A and C had nematodes. After dissection we did this thing called white trapping. It's where we put each of the samples in this white trap thing. We waited 10 days until we finally got the results.
Then what?
Then we looked at those results under a microscope.
What did you see, Brooklyn?
Well, A definitely had a lot of nematodes. C didn't have many nematodes. I saw only 1 or 2.
So basically nematodes killed the Galleria?
Not necessarily. Bacteria was also a big part in the death of the Galleria.
Nice. Well, in my science class we are learning about relationships. Do you know anything about relationships?
Totally.
Okay, well, since you do, could you tell me what the relationship between the Galleria and the nematodes would be?
Well, I would say the relationship between the nematodes and Galleria would probably be parasitism.
I would say the same. What about the relationship with the bacteria and the Galleria?
Same. Parasitism.
Nicely said, Brooklyn. Now here's a huge question. What would be the relationship between the nematodes and the bacteria?
Now that I would have to say would be mutualism.
Can you tell me why you chose these answers?
Of course. Nematodes and Galleria is parasitism because one benefits, which would be the nematode, and one is harmed, which would be the Galleria. Bacteria and Galleria is parasitism because Galleria is harmed and the bacteria is benefiting. Nematodes and bacteria is mutualism because they both benefit from the relationship.
Why couldn't it be any of the others?
Why are you asking me all these questions?
Because I have a test on relationships tomorrow and I need to get the facts straight.
Martha, shouldn't you just pay attention in class?
Just answer the question.
Fine. Can't be competition because in either relationship they aren't competing for anything. Can't be predation because they aren't being predators towards each others. Can't be commensalism because commensalism is when one is harmed and one isn't affected, but in this experiment one is affected.
That sounds right.
Yep,
So explain to me where all of this would be in the food chain.
Well, it would start off with wood chips.
Wood chips? Ha ha ha.
No, I'm serious. Galleria gets energy and nutrients from the wood chips, making the Galleria a heterotroph. The wood chips would be an autotroph because wood chips come from trees and trees get energy from the sun. The nematodes are heterotrophs because they feed off of the Galleria. The bacteria would also be a heterotroph because it would also feed off the Galleria. So the food chain would be trees, then wood chips, then Galleria, then nematodes, then finally bacteria.
Would that be the same for food web and food pyramid?
Sort of. At the top of the food pyramid, bacteria would be at the top, then nematodes, then Galleria, then wood chips, then tree.
Did you know trees use light energy?
Of course. Trees get energy from the light, thus the name light energy.
Duh.
Yeah.
Oops.
Martha. That's disgusting.
Everyone farts, you know, Brooklyn.
I guess you're right. I mean, farting is an example of chemical energy.
How?
Well, farting is basically letting out all your gas. It's part of the digestive system, you know? Chemicals are in your body that help you break down all that food and stuff producing the fart.
TMI.
Haha.
Well, speaking of food, I'm pretty hungry. Wanna grab a hot dog and talk about boys?
I'd love to. Let's go transfer our energy.
What?
Basically, you eat food and it gives you energy. For example, a hobo hasn't eaten for about 2 weeks, so he is all lazy and stuff. Then finally a kind lady gives him a Happy Meal from McDonald's and then he has way more energy than he did before. You get it?
Yep. Man, your science class sounds really fun. I wish I was in your science class.
I know. So what did you learn from me?
I learned about nematodes, Galleria, and bacteria. I also learned how to test if nematodes are present. I learned a lot more about relationships, and I even learned about different types of energies. I learned a little bit about food webs, food pyramids, and food chains.
I taught you well.
Well, are you ready for that hot dog and boy talk?
Of course. Let's go, girly.